Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 60 Formula. Hope you're doing well today. We're just outside with Britney Spears and we're hanging out. Happy Tuesday. What are you guys getting into today? Doing anything fun? Hopefully you're taking your pepperoni pizza out for a couple walks or going to the park. Today on the episode, we're going to be talking about feeding Siberian Huskies, all the diets that you need to know about, and how you can feed your brand new best friend. One of the most common questions that I get asked is, hey, what kind of food should I be feeding my Siberian Husky when I bring him home? It's a really good question because there's all sorts of diets, all sorts of different kinds of foods that you can be feeding your pepperoni pizza. So today we're going to be going over all of the different ways, all the different diets that you can feed your Siberian Husky. Everyone's like, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. Well, today we're going to be talking about what are the healthiest ways, what ways aren't that healthy, so that you can make the best educated guess on how you can be feeding your Siberian Husky. So come with us, will you, on another episode where we find out what the best strategy is for feeding a Huskaroni pizza. Let's go. What is this? What is this? Do we get a box? Oh, snap diddly, we got a box.
It's box time!
I guess we'll open it next time, in the next episode. You want to open it in the next episode? Yeah, I guess we could do that. All right, now we're just chilling in the office. We got all three animals up in here. We got Britney Spears, we got a Ruby Tuesdays, and we got a Hila Bobila, and she's just like, I'm itching my booty. Are you done, miss? Was that a nice little booty scratch? So before we get into anything, let me just say this. No diet is perfect for any one dog. All dogs are completely different, and you're gonna have to test out all sorts of different diets when it comes to your Siberian Husky. So whenever you hear people say things like,
oh, the raw diet is the best diet out there.
Grain-free is the best diet out there.
Don't let that persuade you. Your doggo is an individual, so you're gonna be having to try out all sorts of different things to see what is best for your best friend. Some pups have really sensitive tummies. Some pups just absolutely can't eat raw food. And some doggos like that way more wildlife, and they like to eat the raw stuff. So let's get into it. What kind of foods should you be feeding your doggo? First off, let's go over kibble. This is probably something that most of you are feeding your dogs right now. Now, I definitely recommend the Taste of the Wild on the left. It's much better quality when it comes to kibble than the Blue Buffalo, but they're honestly both good. Pick either one, you're gonna be fine. Now, there's all sorts of reputable kibble brands out there that we recommend, like Canaday, Solid Gold is pretty good. It doesn't really matter what you pick, just make sure you do the research before you pick the kibble. Now, since most of you are probably feeding your dogs kibble and nothing else, we're gonna suggest you try something called a rotation diet. This is something that a lot of people can benefit from. Lately, people have been saying that foods like Taste of the Wild, grain-free diets, a grain-free diet, are giving dogs heart disease. Now, whether or not this is the case, we're gonna introduce something to you today called the rotation diet. Now, kibble foods like Taste of the Wild and Blue Buffalo, it's probably never good to make your dog stick with one food for their entire life. Imagine someone feeding you macaroni and cheese every single day until you were 800 years old. You'd be like, whoa dude, I'm sick and tired of the cheese and the macaroni. So what the rotation diet does is exactly as it sounds. For a period of time, you have your dog on one kibble, and then after that kibble is completed, switch them over to another kibble. Now, a lot of people like to do the rotation diet sticking within the same brand. So what that means is you'll get this bag of Taste of the Wild and then a different type of kibble of Taste of the Wild, and then you can intertwine the two or three. As many kibble as you want is fine. It's important to note though that you're not mixing the kibbles together in the bowl. You're simply feeding them one kibble, and then when that kibble is gone, you're gonna start on the other one. And you can always return to the other one when the other kibble has run out. Now, some people think that sticking within the same brand is the safe way to go, but really it doesn't matter which brand you go with. I've been rotating Gila from Blue Buffalo to Taste of the Wild for pretty much her whole entire life. She came home as a puppy on Blue Buffalo, and I switched her over to Taste of the Wild, and every once in a while we go ahead and we rotate the kibble. This is a good way to ensure that your dog isn't overdosing on something that one of the manufacturers of the kibble might be putting into their food. Some dog foods like to put a lot of lentils, a lot of peas, a lot of potatoes in their kibble. So by switching it up, what you're doing is making sure that your doggo isn't getting too much of something throughout the entirety of their lives. Now, what I always recommend is adding wet food to your kibble. And every single night, by the way, I add water to any kibble that doesn't come with wet food. Try to avoid feeding just plain dry kibble. What this can do is cause bladder stones in the future if you're not careful. So every single night I do make sure to add a little bit of water to the kibble, mix it up so it's kind of like a little bit soupy. But if you're working with wet food, you don't have to add as much water because typically these wet food cans come with gravy, especially the Taste of the Wild type. And we definitely recommend, if you're gonna practice the rotation diet, to go ahead and get different types of wet food as well. Now maybe you don't want to do the rotation diet, maybe it's a little bit too expensive to be going from one food to another. We completely understand that, but just be warned that having your dog stick to one food, like even if it's grain-free, people are finding out that it can cause long-term detrimental side effects. So just be careful. Make sure that you're doing your research. Now another way to feed your pepperoni pizza is obviously the raw feeding method. And we have a video on this if you want to get started feeding your dog raw meat, raw chicken, eggs, all that sort of thing. Many people claim that the raw diet is much more healthier for Huskies and dogs altogether, but really it's just all up to your dog and how they react to raw feeding. When it comes to Gila, she very much prefers wet food for some reason. She just does not do very good with raw feeding, so I switched her over to wet food and it has chunks of meat in it. So it's not like she's eating kibble her whole life. But the raw diet is a great way to feed your dog. Arguably, it's the natural way to feed your dog. Dogs aren't supposed to be eating kibble out in the wild, but doing the raw diet is very expensive and takes loads and loads of research. So if you want to get into the raw diet, you have to make sure that you're going online, figuring out what the proper portions are for your pepperoni pizza, and then applying them very carefully. Make sure you monitor your doggo and take them to the vet if you plan on doing the raw diet so that you can make sure that everything is going smoothly and your pepperoni pizza is okay. Now, if your itty bitty Huskaroni pizza has a sensitive stomach and they have diarrhea or they're throwing up a whole bunch, there's some easy, simple techniques that you can take to make sure that their belly feels a little bit better. Boiling chicken with white rice and putting it into a bowl in small amounts is a great way to help your dog maintain and balance a healthy stomach. Every time we have a sick pup, the first thing that we do is boil some chicken and give them white rice. And yes, rice is a grain, but when it comes to sensitive tummies, you gotta make sure that you're giving them something that's super good for their GI tract. We kind of just wanted to bring awareness to the fact that grain-free diets might not be all that good. That's why I'm encouraging you to try out the rotation diet. Just try different kibbles with your pup. Now, it's good to mention that this rotation diet won't work for every single Husky. Huskies have sensitive stomachs, and sometimes switching kibbles, especially when it's abruptly, can make them have an upset tummy and even change their behavior a little bit. Look at Britney Spears. He's like, Dad, can you take out the recycles, please? We just wanted to share what we feed the pups every single day. I know a lot of you are under the impression that Britney Spears is still on the raw diet, but he no longer is. We took both the pups off the raw diet because it just wasn't a good fit for them. Remember what I said, each dog is different. Make sure you're monitoring them and don't force them to eat anything that their body doesn't agree with. Oh, I've unleashed the bowls. You know what this means, don't you? It means there's food a-brewing. Can you speak? My good girl. Chill, just chill. Gotta make it even. I can't make it uneven. A brother can't get more than a sister. Good dogs. Stay. Good job. Stay. Hila, you're gonna have green. Britney Spears, you're gonna have pink. You ready? Go ahead. And we're off. Oh, that tastes so good. Oh, that's really tasty and really good. Oh, I can eat it all for days. Did you get it all, miss? Did you get it all?
Britney Spears, you ate all your food.
Good job, guys. Good job, guys. Was that good? You gotta go wash it off with some water. So we hope we helped you figure out what kind of diet is good for your Siberian Husky and you. Remember, it takes a whole lot of testing. You gotta figure out what kind of food is good for your dog and agrees with their stomach. And once you do, it's good to practice and stick with that diet. What kind of diet do you practice at home? Let us know in the comments down below. Gila's just barking no. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We had an absolute blast. If you guys had fun, be sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Gila would love that. And we'll see you next time with another episode of Guess What? Yup, whatever we make. Peace!